What is up, everybody? Welcome to another video from the Geek Pantheon. I am Eric, and today I'm doing another video from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, one of the strongest books that Wizards put out for D&D 5th edition, in my opinion. And today we're going to be talking about survivors from page 199 into the next couple pages from the book. Now, survivors are something that is very evocative of kind of NPC classes from D&D 3.5, where there are these classes that you can give to a character that the players will control that is less powerful and less complex than a full-on player character. They are designed to be very low power, and in the context of the book, for horror stories, a lot of times the terror comes from that lack of power. And so this provides you a way to give your players somebody to play for a short adventure that lacks a lot of that power, lacks a lot of that punch, but it still has some utility in the world, and it makes sense that the story would be focused on them. Additionally, the book does talk about how you could use these characters for side stories or flashbacks or nightmares, where maybe you have something that's focusing on a single player character and you want to give the other players something to do. You can give them survivors to fill out the ranks of a scene or a short story that they can then build off of. And it's really cool how they've done survivors in terms of mechanically how they grow and evolve. So first off, you have 4 different types of survivors in the book. The apprentice, which is a wizard, the disciple, which is a cleric, the sneak, rogue, and squire, fighter. Those are your 4 survivor classes. Now, they do gain levels. They don't earn experience, though. It's pure milestone leveling at this point as a DM, and it is up to you to let the players know, okay, you have leveled up as this survivor. And they max out at 3 levels. At least that's what's in the book. Obviously, you could push them beyond that point, but I don't think you should. And I'll get into what to do if you feel like they've progressed to a 4th level as a survivor. But you gain, like I said, levels. You gain hit die, just like leveling up a player character. All of them do start with 2 hit die. So you start with 2. It varies from what class of survivor you're playing. So then once you reach 2nd level, you gain a 3rd hit die, so on and so forth, and they're used very similarly. Okay, and I'm not going to do a full breakdown. Each of these survivors get a monster card style layout with all of the relevant information that you need for that class. I'm just going to give you an overview of kind of what they can do. I'm not going to do a full breakdown of the ability layout and all that kind of stuff. Just very high overview. So for example, the apprentice, you get the quarterstaff for melee attack, but really where you shine is you get burning hands twice per day, firebolt as a cantrip, minor illusion as a cantrip, and then grease as well as your other spell that you can cast. So yeah, that's kind of where you start off as an apprentice. Then the disciple has a mace that they can use for melee attacks. And then in terms of casting, you have Sacred Flame, which you can do twice per day. Or no, sorry, Sacred Flame is a cantrip, so at will. But then you also have Guidance and Cure Wounds is the other one. That's the twice a day spell that you can do. So a little bit of healing as a survivor, but you have a lot of good utility, like you would expect with a cleric style character, where you can be in melee, but you also have some good casting as well. Okay, and then the sneak has a dagger that they can attack with, but the big thing they get is the disengage as a bonus action that rogues have. And then the squire also has their melee attack with a longsword, but they also get the shove bonus action as well. If they're wielding a shield, they can shove somebody within 5 feet of them. So, good utility all around, some interesting things they can do. But one of the things I really like about how they did survivors are the talents. So as opposed to making things more complex by having, at 2nd level, the apprentice gets this and this and this, and the disciple gets this, and then at 3rd level, the sneak gets this, they stripped all that away and they just gave you a list of things that you can pick from. Now, there is one talent for each of the survivor archetypes that has that archetype as a prerequisite. So there is some specialization, but you don't have to take that. Like I said, you'll ultimately only get to pick 2 of these talents, but how these talents evoke horror stories especially are great, although these could fit very easily in non-horror stories. So the first one is Adrenaline Surge, As an action, you pick one target within 30 feet of you. You are, until the end of your next turn, frightened of that creature, and your speed is doubled. So it's, I'm going to run away now. And so that's great. That's super fun. Kind of taking a negative of being frightened, but getting this huge thing of doubling your speed is great. And sorry, Adrenaline Surge actually isn't an action. Just at the start of your turn, you can do that. Since it is kind of a negative thing that you get a bonus thing, it's a trade-off. So yeah, there's no actual action associated with it. It just says at the start of your turn, you can do this thing. The next one is Desperate Scream. Now this one is whenever you have to make a saving throw, you can let out a desperate, frightened scream. Everybody within 100 feet can hear you very clearly screaming, but you gain advantage on that saving throw. And you can do this twice and you regain all uses after a long rest. So yeah, once again, super fun. No sneakiness. If you pull this off, everybody's aware that you are there, but in a desperate situation where you really need to make a saving throw, it's pretty great. Now, the next two are Divine Guidance and Magical Talent. These are, you gain an extra first level spell from the Cleric spell list and the Wizard spell list respectively. You must be the Disciple or the Apprentice respectively once again. So this is kind of, if you want to progress your innate ability as an Apprentice or a Disciple, you can take these to once again get an additional first level spell, kind of get a bit more utility and bump up. These two are actually ones that are designated that you can take more than once. So if you want to get another first level spell after that first one, you can do that. Resilience is where you can choose one ability score and gain proficiency in saving throws for that ability score. So if you're playing the Apprentice who only has proficiency in intelligence saving throws, which don't come up a whole lot, and you would really like to have dexterity, you have that flexibility in that option. And then the next talent is for the Squire archetype Sacrificing Shield, where when a creature within 5 feet of you is targeted with an attack, you can use your reaction to become the target of the attack yourself. And additionally, if you're wielding a shield, you can reduce the damage by 1d10 that's incoming to you. And you can do this once per short or long rest. So yeah, I mean, this, especially given the fact that the additional ability is if you're using a shield, you get the shove ability. This really evokes like this person that's really good at using a shield, which makes sense for a lower powered individual to be more focused on their defensive capability than their offensive. And then you have Skillful, where you just get 2 skills that you now have proficiency in. So once again, if you're wanting to flesh out this character a little bit more, get a little bit more utility, this is a great one to take. And then the last one is the step up for the Sneak, Slip Away, where when a creature that you can see within 5 feet of you hits you with an attack and deals damage as a result of that attack, you can use your reaction to gain resistance to that damage and move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. And you can do this once per long or short rest, which I really like. I think that's a super cool ability. Like if I were a regular rogue, man, that's really cool, being able to gain resistance and move away. So yeah, I really like all of these. I think they're super inventive and fun, and they make sense for a lower powered character because they are all, a lot of them are focused on your exit strategy and getting away and being safe. It's not sneak attack damage. It's I get resistance to that damage and I can go away. It's not extra attack. It's I'm defending other people and reducing the damage that's incoming to me. And so I think all of that makes a lot of sense. And I really like the talents. So yeah, that is mechanically what the survivors look like. Now, actually using them, I think they do a really good job on different uses outside of just a one-shot adventure where you want low-powered player characters. I would recommend you all go back and watch my Dungeon Master's Guide 2 video where I talk about vignettes. And there was a specific video I did on vignettes. I think that survivors and vignettes would go really well together if you're wanting to do a third person perspective of maybe some NPCs in action elsewhere. You want to start off a session with something different and shake things up. Put these characters out on a table and say, hey, pick one, and we're going to do a short little mini adventure for the first 30 minutes of the session tonight, just to give you some insight on what some NPCs are up to in the world. That would be super cool and a super fun way to use these. Now, the way that I want to use them, as soon as I saw this, and it does talk about you don't need party balance. Like if you're doing soldiers in training. You could have a party of squires that are fighting together side by side. You could have a group of detectives, is what they talked about, as sneaks, all sneaks, investigating a crime scene or something like that, which would be super cool. But what I think would be a really cool use of Survivors is a campaign prologue. Start your campaign off with the party picking an archetype for their survivor. And a survivor can branch off into a number of classes. A disciple can become a cleric or a paladin, or even a path of the zealot barbarian, way of the mercy monk. You could have a sneak become a wide variety of classes. It doesn't even really need to be that related. You could have a sneak that becomes a wizard. And so have the first 3 levels be the prologue. And then you can just keep note of the abilities they gained as survivors. And then once they hit 4th level, now you have your 1st level PC. And the reason I love the idea of doing a prologue with the survivor character archetypes is you could get to know your character before you have to make these very concrete decisions about your character of what class are they going to be. And for a lot of classes, what subclass are they going to be that you have to pick at 1st level. In normal circumstances, you know so little about your character when you're making these choices. But by baking in a prologue, you can get to know them and maybe be surprised by, oh, I was thinking about playing a barbarian, but now that I've played them for 3 levels, a paladin makes a lot more sense based on the way I've been playing them. And that could be a really cool way to do things. So that's how I would really like to utilize survivors in a game. And I'm going to see if I have an opportunity to at some point. So yeah, let me know what you think down below of the survivors and the concept of having these really low power PCs that can level, that can grow, and then potentially morph into full-fledged player characters. Because I'm a huge fan. Once again, I'm falling in love with this book more and more the more I get a chance to read it. I have a lot more content that I want to do for this book, so stay tuned to the channel. Subscribe down below. We are almost at 2,000 subscribers. When we get there, I'm going to buy one of you a D&D 5th edition book, one of you that is a subscriber. So definitely want to subscribe down below and let me know down below what book you're going to ask for when we hit 2,000. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Eric, and I will see you next time.